So, welcome everyone to the second episode of the Launchpad podcast. And today we have Darren Silsby from Action Coach. And now I always say Action Coaching, but it's Action Coach, right?
Action Coach, yes.
Sorry, I awkwardly asked you a question as you had a mouthful of whatever, which is a classic hosting 101 rookie move. So yeah, thanks for coming on with us, Darren. Really appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah, all good.
So to those people that don't know Darren, Darren's a business coach. You're let's start off at something basic. What exactly is business coaching? Because I know a lot of people think about business coaches and they go, "Oh, that's for somebody else." A lot of people don't really understand what it is. I probably didn't really understand what it was really until I kind of had a bit more close contact with you and some clients that we're working with together.
Yes. Okay. So what is business coaching? Great question. So coaching is a process fundamentally, whether you're talking business coaching, life coaching, whatever it is, you're fundamentally going through a process of helping someone assess where they're currently at and see their own options for moving forward, and then make great decisions about which options to choose, and then you hold them accountable to that. Now, from a coaching perspective, when clients first come on board, one of the things I say to them is that there's a few key pieces that I will be to you. Number one is someone who is outside of your business. So sometimes you can't see the wood from the trees when you're in the middle of it. Number two is to hold people accountable. That's another key piece. And the third piece is someone who has, because I interact with a lot of business owners very regularly, I'm not just in one business, I'm in many businesses. Therefore, the tools and the library and the ideas that I have access to are broader than theirs, because I don't work in any of their businesses. I work on all of their businesses, whereas they have to live the whirlwind of living in their business, which takes up most of their time. And they get this snapshot to work on their business, and so I redress it and bring it back to that. So I hope that answers a little bit of your question.
Yeah, I think so. And, it's interesting, like, when you talk to people about business coaching, and I think by default, most people feel like, business coaches are for big businesses or CEOs and things like that. But there are a lot of, particularly that's how I got introduced to you initially on it from a practical sense, was working on a client together that they weren't huge, were they?
No, 100%. And that's, there is a little bit of a differentiation, and there's some discussion in the marketplace around, okay, what's the difference between a business coach and a business consultant? Now, a business consultant primarily, and I'm a fan of both categories, but they're not the same thing. So a business consultant is more of a hands-on nuts and bolts. You might even find certain business consultants who spend a whole day per week in a business, and they don't necessarily share what they're doing. They're building things that assist the business in moving forward. They might be building templates and models and things like that, and going, okay, cool, this is what we're implementing. Here you go, guys, hand it all out and away you go. Whereas a business coach, it's a touch point. So it's once a week, it's a session, or it's once a fortnight, it's a session. Now, don't get me wrong, Stu, and some business coaches would slap me on the wrist for this, but I don't care.
Well, you're the one on the podcast, mate, so.
Exactly. I'm the one doing the chat now. I am not shy of what I would call consulting particularly when I first work with a client. If there is a client who it's a case of, do you know what, they don't know how to read their P&L, they don't know how to build a spreadsheet, they don't know how, then I will just go, hey, here's a template. We're going to spend, instead of me asking whimsical coaching questions that get them to, and I'm a big fan of coaching questions that guide someone to a point. Sometimes it's just the case of, share your screen. I'm going to send you this template, open it up on your screen, and we're going to build out this spreadsheet that measures your margins or measures the profitability on your materials. And literally, when you just show them some of the fundamentals that Excel can do, because these guys are great at doing what they do, but a lot of them have never dived into the IT world. So if you show them how a spreadsheet can literally just average or add things up, or this cell equals that cell plus that, you blow their minds. They're like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic stuff. And all of a sudden, you've changed the way they think, and then you can, once you've done that bit of consulting, cool, now you've got the tool. Now I'm going to follow up on you on your use of the tool. But sometimes there is a bit of nuts and bolts, particularly at the start.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have do you find that when you're working with clients, are there common problems that business owners have, do you think? Or business owners that are using a coach, do they all have a common set of problems?
Yes. Yeah. There's but it tends to go in two broader sort of categories, Stu. So there is the sort of clients who come on board and they are already well established and they are turning over decent amounts of money and they just want to accelerate what they're doing, or they have a particular objective in mind, like, oh, I need to break into the US market, or I need to break into the Asian market, or they might have a particular goal in mind. Okay, so that's one kettle of fish. And I would say that is the lower percentage of my client base. The higher percentage of my client base, the very common problems. Fundamentally, they're usually not measuring the numbers they need to be, and sometimes they're not even aware of the terminology of the numbers they should be measuring. One of my favorite whips to crack is gross profit. What is your gross profit on all your products and services you offer? And some clients are like, I don't know, and some clients are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, educate me. And they're like, what do you mean? You mean the net profit on my P&L? And I'm like, no, when you sell a product, literally, how much does it cost you to produce that product and how much is left over? And then from there, what is your break-even point? And so not measuring the numbers and not knowing the numbers that lead to those numbers. So for example, on different, broadly speaking, my clients tend to fall into two categories. They're either doing smaller jobs whereby measurement of something like billable hours becomes critical to their gross profit, or if it's larger jobs, then it's generally, if these jobs take multiple days or weeks, etc., or months, then it's job blowout. It's, okay, you said you'd be done this milestone by this date. Are you there yet or not? And it's those key pieces. So they're not measuring that, and it's the two other major pitfalls, I would say, is working in the business and not on the business. They never give themselves permission to work on the business, because they often when you sit down with someone and you identify the things that need to be done, they've usually known those things needed to be done, and often for years. They've often been here, yeah, I've been doing this 5 years and I've always known I need to do this. Yeah, well, why haven't you done it? Because they can't. They don't feel there's a way out. Like the law of the vacuum just sucks up all of their time. And unless they allocate some time to work on their business and fiercely protect that time, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Does that scenario where people are, they feel like they have to be working in it and producing the goods or the services or whatever, do you think that happens more often when people kind of move up the ranks, or they start their work life as as the plumber, so they're used to being on the tools, and then it's a hard kind of mental graduation to go, oh, hang on, like, no, I'm supposed to be behind a desk now? Or is there something else that creates that?
Yeah, I feel there's a transition they don't realize they need to go through. And a lot of them, like, say, for example, like you might say they're a plumber and they're an electrician, they're a carpenter, whatever they are, and they've worked for somebody and they're like, do you know what? I can do this pretty damn well. And I'd rather have the flexibility, and I feel like I'm making money for that guy. I'd rather make money for me, thank you very much. And so they make that switch, but that understanding of, okay, being the guy who is good at what you do, as in your practical skills, whether you're a graphic designer, you're an architect, you're a builder, you're a plumber, whatever you are, does not translate into running a business. And the allowance of time that's required to run the business. And so the skill sets, because you can map your time out very successfully. You can be like, oh no, but I'm quoting, and I'm that's working on my business, isn't it? That's not quite what we mean here. It's not quite what we mean here. Oh, I'm doing my invoices, I'm doing my quoting, I'm putting this and that out. I'm on the tools. I allow an hour a day to be doing emails and quotes and invoices. Yeah, cool. That's not working on your business. None of that is improving your business. A good rule of thumb I like to say to people is truly working on your business is things that no one will care if you don't do them. no one will care. So the most important things you can do in your business, no one around you will care if you don't do it. Like your clients don't care, your
Right.
suppliers don't care, your team members don't care. If you don't create a new marketing plan and contact Stuart at LaunchX to say, hey, Stuart, I've come up with this new idea and I really want to promote my business and this is how I'm going to get myself out there online. None of your team members will be on the phone, hey, boss, why haven't you created that marketing plan yet? None of your clients are going to go, hey, mate, why haven't you got a good marketing plan yet? They don't care. They don't care. And so you will feel the pain of it because you'll go through your ebbs and flows of, oh, yeah, we're busy, so I can't afford to do, I'm not doing any lead generation. Then all of a sudden, I'm so not busy that I have to do lead generation. You'll go through the pain of that.
I've been there.
As long as your team members are getting, exactly, as long as your team members are getting paid, they don't care.
Yeah,
they don't
that's
care.
right.
Same with clients. Once you've gone, they're fine. Yeah, cool. You fixed my plumbing. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
See you later.
100%.
I don't care if you've got a marketing plan.
Yeah. What do you think? Have you got any? Obviously, you don't want to name any names. Is there any horror stories, or like, something where you've started working with someone and you've gone, "Oh my God, what's going on here?"
Yes. Yes. And yeah, I hope, Stu, that I'm learning the lessons along the way so that I qualify those people out before they come on board. And I believe I'm succeeding in that journey because the clients I have on board now, I'm very happy with. They do their action steps. They're keen to promote their business, blah, 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 blah. Now, the fundamental pieces that I'm really trying to sniff out is a lack of open-mindedness. If someone is not willing to think about things in a different way and go, hang on a second, how can I improve my situation in life? Then coaching won't work for them.
How do you identify that quality in somebody?
To be honest, in my selling, I position people quite strongly. I push people on it. So I just kind of poke them. So before I have my meeting with them, I'll have a phone call with them and I'll say to them, hey, these are the things you should be looking for from me. I guarantee I'll increase your gross profit by at least 3 times your investment in me in your first 12 months. So you will get a return on investment. And you need to be, when we meet tomorrow, I want you to be analyzing me to see if you're going to get a return on investment. And I'm going to help you achieve your goals faster with me than without me. Okay. But what I'm going to be looking for from you, and I've come to know what unsuccessful clients look like, they're not open-minded and they don't take ownership. So if you're the sort of person who's always blaming your mother-in-law or the economy or the market or the price of materials or whatever else it might be, that's the reason I'm not succeeding. That's called an excuse. And I don't want to work with you if that's you. And then the other side of that, if you're the sort of person when new people come up to you with new ideas and you think, and you're constantly trying to prove you're the best instead of being in a mindset of, no, I'm in this to learn. If I'm wanting to always prove that I'm the best, I don't want to work with you either. I want to work with people who are just keen to learn and keen to grow. Now, what I find with people is that the yeses, the ones who definitely fit that category, you can just sense it. You get a vibe of it straight away. You're like, yeah, we're both in that mindset. And we're like, yeah. And they kind of put it out there. They want to prove, oh, yeah, I am this. I am that, Darren. Yeah. All right, cool. And then you get the people who are the definite no's. And I've had a couple of those. And then you get the people in the middle. And the people in the middle, it's kind of this uncomfortable space for them. These are actually the people I believe that coaching benefits the most, if they do it. And because I push them with it so hard, they're kind of put in this position where, oh, okay, this guy's calling me out. He's laying down the gauntlet. Am I going to step into that space he's invited me into? Or am I going to back out and go back to the way I used to be? And some of them back out and they're like, oh, bro, I hear what you say, but no, thank you. But I've literally seen it with a couple of clients when they weren't that into it. And then you say that positioning statement and they're like, all right, it's on. I'm in. And they kind of decide to step up.
Yeah.
So with the horror stories, I had one guy who I positioned that hard with, and he agreed to all that on the phone, but then I met with him and he... this is a local manufacturing business, and literally, like his lack of ability to take ownership. He literally showed me the deterioration of the income in the business over the past 7 or 8 years that he owned it. And yeah, and during the meeting, he moaned about various groups of people. He moaned about financial advisors, he moaned about marketing people, and he moaned about bankers as well. And it was just like all this negativity coming out. And anyway, I don't know. Maybe he would have been great, Stu, but I just said, mate, no, thank you.
Bad fit.
Let's not do this. Yeah.
It's funny that, isn't it? Like really understanding the type of, we've definitely gone through that process over the last sort of 6 months of really tightening up. When you're first going to business and you got no clients and you're just like, yeah, we'll work with everyone.
Yeah.
And then you learn a few hard lessons, and then as you get busier and your schedule gets tight, it's like, okay, we need to kind of,
Yeah.
it's a in a way it's a good position to be in, because then you can afford to be a bit selective and go, okay, well, here are some rules, here are some things that we can say. If you're going to be like this, it's not like you're a bad person or whatever, it's just not a good fit. Like there might be another coach or another marketing agency or whatever that wants to roll like that, but it's just not us. So if that's a deal breaker, then that's cool, but it's just, you're not a good match for us.
Yeah. And I find, Stuart, I don't know if you found the same, but I find that you feel, when you accept that and discover who your people are, you find yourself feeling so much more relaxed in your role, because you find that you enjoy your work more. These are my kind of people, and therefore we gel well together, and therefore we get better results, and everyone's happier in the scenario. And you're like, my stress levels are just decreasing.
Oh, 100%. And you're not,
less pushback.
Yeah, and you're not trying to tie yourself in knots, trying to, like modify the way you work or the way you do things, your processes and all that, to kind of suit somebody else's, idea of how things are supposed to play out or whatever. You're going, no, here's how we run the show. Are you good with that or no? If you're not, that's okay. But yeah, this is not a scenario where, well, we're very clear with our clients that, hey, this is how we structure things. If you're doing something wrong or whatever, then we're not going to be mean about it, but we'll tell you, hey, you need to stop doing that, or, this is what's going to happen. And if you can't handle that kind of constructive criticism, then it's probably not going to work. Or you'll never ultimately reach the, the lofty heights that you're trying to get at. So, and it is so much more stressful, because all of a sudden you just, okay, this is cool. I'm operating with this client that way, and the same way with that one, and the same way with that one, and everything. Yeah, it just becomes a lot more streamlined and easy to deal with. Yeah, 100%.
And for me, because I go session to session, Stu, it's interesting now. I've been gauging myself recently. Just before I'm going into a session with a client, how do I feel? Do I feel excited, or am I like tying myself up, going, like, I'd be happy if they cancelled, to be honest. Like, of course, you'd never admit that to anyone, except on a podcast where everyone's listening.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you're truly honest with yourself, how are you feeling before you jump into that session? Are you like, oh, keen as mustard, can't wait. Oh yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's so true. I definitely think, yeah, there's obviously you got to put food on the table, but ultimately, well, what Steve Jobs had a really good quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but something like to the effect of, if you're feeling negative for too many days in a row, then you know that you've got to make a change. And definitely, yeah, if you're not happy dealing with the customers that you're dealing with or whatever, then is that a problem with you, or is it a problem with the business, or is it a problem with the clients, or something like that? Yeah, you got to, because what's the point? You may as well just go and work for some other company and just cruise in the background and do your little bit and go home at 5 o'clock and not worry about it.
Yeah, not even think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth getting stressed over.
Yeah.
What do you think? Let's talk about the scenario that you and I worked on a while ago, where obviously our business with marketing, at the end of the day, most of our clients are wanting leads, or they're wanting actual sales, like e-commerce sales or physical sales.
Yeah.
But for a vast majority of our clients, it's just about making the phone ring or getting customers to email them, lead
Yeah.
generation. And then once that lead is generated, for the most part, that's where our involvement stops in a way. We can listen to the phone calls or read through the form submissions and go, okay, cool. Do these look like leads or do they not? More or less we can sort of suss out, yeah, that person looks like they're looking to buy something. So it's a good lead. In the scenario where there's sometimes a scenario where clients getting leads, but they're not able to convert those leads. What's your approach to that? Talk us through that.
So they're getting leads, but they're not converting them. Yeah. It depends. It depends what is the reason. What is going on here? Now, the example that we work together on, some people are pursuing a campaign that really doesn't suit them the best. I think people need to be careful in their niche selection. Like, what does a niche market look like to you? What is that? What are you actually good at? What does your team do well? What do you currently do? Because you can be, even within certain categories, you can say, hey, I'm a plumber, right? But you can be a plumber who specializes in roofing. You can be a plumber who specializes in maintenance work. You can be a plumber who specializes in commercial fit outs. Those are very different categories.
Yeah.
So if you just say, oh yeah, I'm a plumber, I'll take on any plumbing work. There's a great analogy in the One Page Marketing Plan, great book that I love, Alan Dibb. And he talks in there about people who fight him on that principle of, oh no, if I niche too hard, then I'll be missing out on customers. And he gives the analogy of like, well, how about if I take you out into the woods and I blindfold you and spin you around a few times and give you a bunch of arrows and you've got to hit a target for me. And you just start shooting arrows off in all sorts of directions. The chances you're going to get good results are very slim. So when you learn to service the people you service well, you're going to be able to convert them easier for a start. Now, this again ties into, okay, what sort of lead are you looking to generate? Now, the nature of the thing that you and I were initially worked together on, they were looking at more of a mass lead generation type of a campaign. And that was not the nature of their business. The nature of their business was an account management, relationship building sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they had decided, for whatever reason, they wanted to do this thing. And so, great opportunity of learning for me as a coach. Maybe I gave them too much slack on the lead, and I should have earlier on grabbed the lead and gone, no, you're not doing that, because we don't do that. And so my niche selection with that example, I learned a lot of lessons through that. And it's an opportunity as a coach to grab them earlier in the process by the scruff of the neck and say, your team doesn't match that. How much sales experience do you have in this team? Oh, we don't have anyone who's done any of it. There we go. Okay. How much mass lead generation processing are you used to dealing with? Oh, we don't, because usually our customers are larger and they deal with big accounts and they come back to us regularly. Okay. So we're more of a relationship building people, aren't we, than a mass lead production people. So getting clear on that niche selection, getting clear on, okay, of our current customer base, who do we like working with at the moment? Oh, well, who fights us least on the margins? Who has the healthiest cash flow? And who do we like working with? As in, we enjoy doing that work. Because some people like doing certain types of work and some people don't. So that will be my first port of call, Stu, is to question the niche, to question where they're going with it, and going, okay, well, are you even barking up the right tree for a start? And then from there, it's a case of going, it's an assessment of the sales capability of the people you're dealing with. If they have decided and you do feel they are qualified in that area, well, then again, I'd be building out a sales process from there. What does your sales process look like? And again, most people will be like, well, what do you mean? And I'd be like, okay, well, you know, the research has been done again and again to show multiple touch points. The higher the sale value of your item, the more touch points you're going to need. So what does that process look like, and what does each step in that look like, and how well are you qualifying your people, and how well are you positioning them for the path and what it looks like? So it's, it will first of all be niche assessment, and then I'd be diving into, okay, cool, we have chosen the correct niche. Now we'll be diving harder into the sales and conversion training.
It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Because I know that a lot of people think that if the phone just rings, I'd be able to get that sale, and sometimes that is true. Sometimes it is, but even for some things like, and we keep talking about sort of plumbers, even certain industries like plumbing, where you would think if someone calls, they've probably got a pretty good chance of booking a plumber, and that is true to a point. But I've seen a lot of things where there are basic things that just crush people's ability to actually win the job. Like, for example, not answering the phone is a super obvious one. That's not a hard one to get your head around. But then more nuanced ones around how long are they waiting on hold before somebody pick, often they have like an IVR. Oh, you've called so-and-so plumbing and we're the best at this and this and this. And, they've got like a busted pipe that's flooding their apartment or something. And they're being forced to sit through this, 45-second IVR message. And, they hang up the phone after 9 seconds or something like that. Because they're like, I'll just call the next guy on the list. I need this done now. And then, when the call is answered, does it sound like the person is super grumpy, or are they happy to talk to them, or are they helpful, or, and even actual technical infrastructure things like, what's the quality of the phone line like? Does it sound like are you in somewhere quiet when you're answering the phone, or does it sound like you're in a bullpen, with people yelling and carrying on in the background, not very professional? Like, all these things have like a really measurable impact on people's ability. And then when you get into lead gen for higher value items, not more than just a couple of $100 for something, a non-essential luxury item or something like that, then that's when the real, really proper sales skills actually need to be in place on the other end. Otherwise, it's like, hey, like, we could generate all the sales on all the leads, on the planet, but if all these things aren't in place, you may not convert as much of this into sales as you think that you will.
And the power, Stu, in outsourcing. Like, people often, oh, no, I'll do it. No. Your skill set is your skill set. Okay, we're going to be doing this new campaign and the phone's going to be ringing off the hook for a little while. How much sales experience do you have? I don't have any. Oh, okay, let's get someone who does. That's the reality, whether it's an outsourced call center or whoever it might well be. Or for large ticket items, for some of my larger clients, it's okay, find a great sales rep. And sometimes when you find a great sales rep, you've got to acknowledge a few things about that. You've got to acknowledge the fact that, hey, do you know what? You've built up this business and you've got good structures and processes. The reality is a lot of great salespeople are not great with processes because they're not process people. They're people. So you've got to acknowledge the fact that their strength is they're going to bring the dollars in the door for you. The rest of your team's job is to clean up the mess they make along the way. Because some great salespeople, and if I'm being straight, Stu, if I just bring to mind the best salespeople I've worked with, they're also messy operators, but they bring so many dollars in the door. They're just hungry. They're like a hound. They just go at it, but they don't care about the carnage they've created behind them. Now, obviously, they got to match your values. So if your values are honesty and integrity and fulfilling the client's needs, but you can get great salespeople who are hungry and honest, and they plow that field and they make it happen. But you've got to accept them for what they are and go, okay, cool. Find the person whose strength it is. We have, if I look at the flow of work, okay, I've got to win work, I've got to generate leads, I've got to win those leads, I've got to do the work efficiently, and then I've got to get paid on time. If I do four of those things and the margin is healthy all that track, I've got a successful business. That's the reality.
Mm.
Along that bottleneck, have you identified where your shortcomings are? And that's the piece you need to plug in. So you might go, hey, I've got Stu and Rihanna, and they produce all these wonderful leads for me. And my team are really good at getting the job done. And my admin team are really good at getting the process done. But if this converting piece is short, well, how long is it going to take to train one of your guys who's been on the tools all their life to be a salesperson?
Mm.
You'll probably be wasting your time anyway. Get someone else in to do it for you, or outsource just those phone calls, you know. And so that, in my opinion, is one of the things that changes businesses the most. The willingness of an owner to let go of something and hand it over to someone who can do it better than them. And if you can admit that and pass it over, that's when businesses really change. That's the biggest change I've seen in my clients' businesses,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah. What do you reckon, going back to sort of one of the questions that we were talking about at the start, what is the type of person that can benefit from a business coach? And what I mean by that is, what are the sort of the things that they are wishing was a reality in their head? You know, professionally or personally, you know, is it about like, oh man, you know, I'm always working every weekend, or, you know, I'm wanting, you know, I'm working super hard, but I'm sort of not getting anywhere. Like, what are those kind of internal conversations that that those people might hear and kind of identify? Go, oh yeah, that's me. I totally feel like that.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know, actually, I mean, this sounds like a trite answer from a business coach, but I honestly feel like anyone can benefit from a coach, and anyone will benefit from a coach. But what I would say is, being self-aware is the biggest piece. Knowing what you actually need help with is the biggest piece. And then second piece is finding the right coach for you, because different coaches are great at different things. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. There's certain coaches who will be great at, if there's, for example, if there's a business who, like, the business now primarily, let's say a business owner has, you know, he's got like 30 odd staff, and he has a management team that he trusts in place, or that she hasn't trusts in place, and they're able to work, say, 9 months of the year. Now they want to spend the rest of that 3 months of the year learning about what other businesses they're going to invest in, or what properties they might invest in, or what their opportunities beyond the business are. Now, there might be a certain coach who's better at that world right there, and find that coach who specializes in that thing and connect with that sort of a person. Because the reality is, the reason I say that, Stu, in my opinion, you never stop progressing. And if you ever do feel in life that you've stopped your journey of progression, that's when you're in the danger zone, in my opinion. You're in the danger zone of atrophy, of just going into a negative state, and just not becoming the person you could become. So everyone has a growth state. So if you are willing to be aware that I am in a place where I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to learn, well, and I say this when clients come on board, do you want to accelerate that process? If you do, then a coach will be able to help you, because coaches don't remove the problems you're going to hit as you grow your business. They just accelerate them. So if you had a problem that, say, as you grow your business, you're going to hit a challenge in 18 months' time, because that's the natural state of when your business hits that point. Well, you work with a coach, you might hit that in, say, 3 months' time. And all of a sudden you're like, bang, I'm dealing with that question now, which means the hurdle that you overcome and the point beyond that, you hit it before you would have hit it beforehand. So it's more about, okay, I'm aware that I want to grow and progress. You identify the area in your life where you want to grow and progress, and then find someone who help you do that and hold you accountable to it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Darren, I want to thank you for your time coming on to the podcast today. The next time we do this, I'll coordinate with you, and maybe we'll do it on like a Thursday or Friday, and we'll have a beer in the afternoon and do it at the same time. And yeah, I think it'll be a good time to do that second time round. So thank you very much for coming on and taking time out to be on.
Yeah, love it. Thanks so much, Stu, and look forward to the next time on
Excellent.
Thursday or Friday.
Awesome. Can't wait. Drinks are on me.
Awesome. All right. Catch you, mate. See you next
Cheers,
time.
mate.